The BBC.
Lewis Hamilton says being Formula One's most successful driver will mean nothing to him unless he can continue to lead the fight against racism in the sport. He has helped start the Black Lives Matter protests at races. He's also established a commission to improve the representation of black people in motorsport. His Mercedes team boss is Toto Wolff.
If you're in a good place, you find purpose in your life, you will also perform. And I think his activities started with music and then fashion and now to much more serious topics. There is not just a purpose in achieving greatness in the racing, but there's also purpose in helping really to change the world in the way he can.
We had a really good programme on 5 Live Sport last night. It was a big focus on Lewis Hamilton, the greatest, ? It's a podcast as well. You can get it on BBC Sounds right now under the checkered flag umbrella. The chair of Kick It Out, Sanjay Bandari, says he would support Paul Elliott if he were to put himself forward for the position of FA chairman. This follows the resignation last week of Greg Clark for using unacceptable language about black players. Elliott is currently the chair of the FA's Inclusion Advisory Board. Here's Bandari.
He's definitely got the ability to do the job depending on the way in which the role is crafted. There are many options for how you craft the requirements for that role. Of course, he would be a candidate.
And he'd have your full support.
He would have my support, but I'm sure there are plenty of other candidates that would similarly be equally passionate.
That's Sanjay Bandari talking to Rob Bonnet on the BBC Radio 4's Today programme. The Culture Secretary, Oliver Dowden, today hosts a virtual summit on football's future. Meanwhile, after getting the government to rethink their approach to free school meals for vulnerable children, Marcus Rashford has now launched a book club in partnership with Pan Macmillan. The Manchester United and England forward says the escapism of reading could really have helped me as a child. I want this escapism for all children and not just those that can afford it. Kell Brook's 16-year professional boxing career could be at its end after his third defeat on Saturday. He lost to Terence Crawford in Las Vegas, knocked out in the fourth round. He has said it might be the end of the road. Brook famously beat Sean Porter 6 years ago to take the world title, but our correspondent Mike Costello says, I think the time's up.
It's time, I say, for him to walk away with his legacy intact. He will be remembered, if for nothing else, one of the all-time great wins by a British boxer, either in the United States or anywhere away from home. He was a huge underdog against Sean Porter, and not only did he pull it off, he pulled it off on points.
Yeah, really good win back in 2014. There's much more from Mike Costello and Steve Bunce in the 5 Live Boxing podcast, which is on BBC Sounds. And the WNBA Basketball Hall of Famer Teresa Weatherspoon is the latest woman to land a job as a full-time assistant coach in the men's league. Weatherspoon is the 8th female assistant in the league. She'll work alongside Stan Van Gundy, the new head coach at the New Orleans Pelicans. That's the latest from BBC Sport.
BBC Sport.